AM 1480 wlea.
A pretty serious topic here on this Christmas Eve show, but it has been a very serious week since the deaths of the two police officers down in New York City on Saturday. And it's not as if the week is getting any better. Bad news from last night. Another black teen shot and killed in Ferguson during a protest. Police say the teen pulled a gun on officers. There are more reported threats against the police in New York City where protesters prevented an ambulance from getting to where it needed to go. Apologies that this is not the Merry Christmas type news that you'd hope for on this Christmas Eve, but pretty serious stuff going on in the news. On to talk about the Sheriff's Association's statement on riling people up. Chemung County Sheriff Christopher Moss and State Senator Tom O'Mara.
Next on News Talk, AM 1480 WLEA, the Newsmaker Show with Kevin Doran.
It's Brian O'Neill in for Kevin Doran, on with Chemung County Sheriff Christopher Moss. Sheriff, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And State Senator Tom O'Mara, thanks for calling in.
Morning, Brian, and Merry Christmas.
Some background information for our listeners. Christopher Moss has been the sheriff in Elmira since 2005. He worked for the Sheriff's Department in Chemung County since 1989. Senator O'Mara was the district attorney of Chemung County before he got into the state assembly and then the state senate. O'Mara also used to be the assistant DA in New York City. So with that, our first question, this is for Sheriff Moss. Sheriff, you're the head of the State Sheriff's Association, and you've issued a statement where you have basically two messages, I'd say. One for those who have been making what you call irresponsible statements, and also you issued a statement for the media covering these events. First off, Sheriff, your thoughts on these political leaders and others who have been speaking out against law enforcement since the Michael Brown, Eric Garner cases?
Well, first of all, I don't think they're directly responsible for what happened on Saturday, but you know what? They are responsible for creating an atmosphere, an anti-police atmosphere, where all we need is one lunatic to hear their rhetoric and then act upon it, unfortunately. You know, instead of coming up with this empty rhetoric, what we need to do is focus on the real problem. And I think the real problem surrounds dealing with several of the urban areas. There's a complete lack of respect for law enforcement, a lack of respect for each other. So, I mean, there's a lot of problems out there that we need to talk about. And I just don't think Al Sharpton, de Blasio, or Cuomo are doing the New York City Police Department any favors right now.
Senator O'Mara, would you like to...
Oh, yeah, I agree with Sheriff Moss wholeheartedly. I think that Mayor de Blasio has done a great disservice to the men in blue, New York's finest. You know, having been an assistant district attorney in Manhattan for over 3 years back in the 90s, I can tell you firsthand just how deserving our New York City police officers are of everyone's respect. You know, the mayor has chosen to not to back the police department of New York City throughout these protests that are going on. And I think Sheriff Moss hit it on the head that this rhetoric coming from the leadership of the city emboldens somebody that might be on the edge, somebody that might not otherwise act, but they're hearing this type of rhetoric in public, and that may prompt them to take the next steps that might not otherwise have happened. And this individual just going and opening fire on two NYPD officers sitting in their car on duty. It's a horrible situation. Something needs to be done quickly in New York City to return the respect to the police department so that everyday citizens have the trust and confidence in their police department.
Sheriff Moss, you were sheriff in 2006 in the Elmira area. That's when the whole Ralph Bucky Phillips thing began, when Phillips shot State Trooper Sean Brown in the Chemung County town of Veteran. Brown survived and got back to work rather quickly, as I remember. Phillips went on to shoot, tragically, other troopers over in Chautauqua County. So for you, Sheriff Moss, apparently seeing this violence against officers, that's nothing new to you.
Unfortunately, violence against officers can happen anywhere now, whether it's the big city like New York or whether it's in a rural community like here in Elmira. So obviously it's something we want to curtail the violence all we can. But unfortunately, at the end of the day, it's something that's going to happen. So I think we need to do all we can to make sure that, we're sending out the right messages, not only from the media, not only from our political officials, but I think we sometimes take law enforcement for granted. And that's not saying every decision they make is correct. But on a daily basis, for the most part, I think they do an excellent job across this state, whether it's at the local, county, or state level.
Senator O'Merrill, wanted to ask you this one first. Governor Andrew Cuomo is reported by Time Warner Cable News is trying to do sort of the middleman peacemaker role here between City Hall and the police department.
Well, as I said before, I think presently we have a terrible situation in the rift between the New York City mayor and his administration and the New York City Police Department. I think Governor Cuomo is trying to do his best to hopefully bring sides together, hopefully start a healing process between the department and the administration, because that's of the utmost importance that the officers of the New York City Police Department have a feeling and confidence that the administration of the city is behind them and supporting them and positive of them, and not sort of singling them all out as being racist and excessive force individuals, which at 99.9% of police officers are there doing a great job day in and day out protecting all the citizens for which they serve. And our leadership at this point has to do everything we can to restore that sense of confidence and respect for our police departments, and it's not condoning any of this violence towards police officers, and not standing for these protests that are calling out for violence against police officers, which is extremely disturbing to me, particularly in one of the largest urban areas in the world, to have this disregard for law enforcement and outright speaking in opposition to the police, chanting that we want dead cops. That is a horrendous situation for New York City.
Sheriff Moss, we had a caller yesterday on the Brian Kilmeade National Radio Show, and the caller identified himself as being from Hornell, and he had identified himself as being African-American and said that he's lived in upstate for a long time and has never had any sort of race issues with the police. He said, he's been pulled over for, the usual stuff, parking ticket, inspection violation, something like that. He says, the white cops don't treat him badly. I expect the same would be true in New York City.
Obviously, where you have a higher population density, you're going to have more of those types of complaints. I mean, we even see those types of complaints being filed here at the sheriff's office or with our local police department. So they do occur, but I'm not sure what's perpetuated the situation we have now where they're always in the media. So they do occur, probably not frequent in upstate New York, as frequent as they do downstate. But, to echo what the senator's already said, I think the mayor has a communication problem with the police department, and it's not something that can be solved in a short period of time. And as far as the governor goes, he needs to be a leader. He's never in Albany. He's in New York City, so there's no reason that he shouldn't have his finger on the pulse of what's going on down there and get involved and try and mediate between these two, because if the union doesn't make up with the mayor's office, we're going to continue to have problems.
You had two messages, one for the media and one for the political leaders. Some are religious, but the political leaders. Wondering, Sheriff Moss, your thoughts about the media. How has the media handled this so far?
Look, we've had the grand jury system. It's been around for hundreds of years. It's done this country well, number one. so for the governor and Schneiderman and Sharpton to come out and say, you know what, we need to revisit the criminal justice system, we need to revisit the grand jury system, I can tell you those individuals didn't hear the testimony. I didn't hear the testimony. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think we really need to look at the root of the problem, which isn't basically the criminal justice system. Sure, we can tweak it, but you know what? It's how we teach our kids, what parents, the broken homes the kids are coming from. We have a lot of issues out there, both in the rural and urban areas, that need to be addressed. But I think what the media does, unfortunately, they don't have enough time in the short little 60-second story they do to explain the grand jury system. So we all know what sensationalism is and what sells papers and what gets good ratings, and that's unfortunate in a situation like this.
It's Brian O'Neill in for Kevin Dorn, on with Chemung County Sheriff Christopher Moss and State Senator Tom O'Mara. It is Christmas Eve, we realize that, but some serious topics going on in our state that will affect the whole state with some new laws. We're going to be talking about the upcoming legislation the governor wants to pass, and we continue our conversation with the senator and the sheriff in just a moment on the Newsmaker Show. Back on the Newsmaker Show, Brian O'Neill on today, in for Kevin Dorn, on with Senator Tom O'Mara and Chemung County Sheriff Chris Moss. Senator O'Mara, Time Warner Cable News is reporting that Governor Andrew Cuomo said Tuesday he's going to convene a panel next year to study reforms to the state criminal justice system. He said that there will be recommendations for transparency to the grand jury process. Your thoughts on what Cuomo's proposing there?
I don't know what the makeup of that panel is going to be. For a governor that came out 4 years ago in his first State of the State and said that there's too many commissions, too many task forces, I think he's probably created more than any other governor in the history of New York. I hope that there's strong membership on that committee from the District Attorneys Association, from law enforcement, as well as from a variety of groups across the state, and representatives from the legislature. Myself having a background as a district attorney and as an ADA, I'd love to be involved in that process. I would echo the comments of Sheriff Moss, and our grand jury system has been around for centuries. It has served us well. The last thing we need is knee-jerk reactions based on a couple incidents that the media has blown out of proportion as far as what they want people to believe. And the mayor of New York City has helped throw fuel to that fire. I would just like to see a well-thought-out process in looking at this and making sure that all sides are heard, and not making sure we don't come to a knee-jerk reaction that is going to negatively impact what has been a very well-functioning grand jury system in New York State.
Sheriff Moss, Governor Andrew Cuomo says that one of the reforms that he'd like to see is a change to the pension system for the families surviving an officer who's killed in the line of duty. Do you know, Sheriff Moss, what the pension system is like now, and are there any weaknesses there that the governor needs to address?
I'm not aware of any weaknesses. I know that we had a deputy sheriff killed in a car accident, and the state had a good program put in place, as did the federal government, to assist family members. So I'm not sure of any current weaknesses in that area, other than maybe trying to expedite the process.
Senator O'Mara.
I'm not aware of what the details are of the survivor benefits. It's the first time it's been brought to my attention that there's any concerns over being inadequate, but it's certainly meritorious to take a look at it and see. I'm not sure if it's from department to department or whether that's actually based in state law, but certainly something that we should make sure that survivors of our police officers, law enforcement officials that are killed in the line of duty, that their families, spouses, and children are taken care of.
Senator O'Mara, this next question is for you also, and I'll follow up by asking the same question of Sheriff Moss. Senator O'Mara, social media has popped up in this case of the officers Liu and Ramos. Apparently, the shooter posted online that he was going to be targeting police officers, and he referenced I believe the Eric Garner case, possibly the Ferguson case as well. Senator, Any thoughts on possible legislation there as to what can be done with the social media monitoring?
It's a very big concern with everything out there, and how it can be monitored effectively. It's mind-boggling to me with all the traffic over these types of websites and things. You run into certainly First Amendment concerns. I ran into that when I proposed some legislation a couple of years ago with regard to bullying on things like Facebook and the like. And it's a complicated matter. But here, I think that it's truly concerning comments that were made by this individual on his Instagram, I believe it was, an individual with a long criminal record, an individual with outstanding warrants, an individual that had just shot his girlfriend in Baltimore very recently. So, I think that that there should be a way that law enforcement can look at this, because that is certainly intimidating, threatening, harassing type language in those things. But it wasn't directed to any individual. So we run into a lot of issues when we talk about these types of postings online, but I think that's very threatening in its nature, and we should be looking at changes to how we can incorporate crimes for that type of activity when it's general and not specifically targeted individuals. And I would note, as you just read the names of the officers, clearly those are minority officers. We have a Hispanic officer from Puerto Rico and an Asian officer from China. So this wasn't a black on white incident in retaliation for what's perceived out there as racial incidents leading up to this. So it's very concerning. This was clearly just a straight out attack on law enforcement with I think regard for race or ethnicity or whatever. The individual just walked up and opened fire on two officers sitting in the patrol car.
Sheriff Moss, your thoughts on monitoring social media?
It's tough to do. It's probably something that's going to have to be looked at the federal level. Where we could help law enforcement at the local levels try to expedite the subpoena process when you are looking to get information. But if you take those tweets that this gentleman sent out, those tweets are going to somebody. Somebody's reading them. Perhaps we should hold the people accountable, the tweets were sent to, because you would hope that somebody would report that to law enforcement immediately if, you made some type of threat like that, because somebody has to investigate it to find out whether or not it's credible. So again, a lot of work to be done in that area, but everybody's on Facebook now, everybody's on Twitter now, and again, I don't think we have the resources or the know-how at this point to look into every threat that's posted out there without some type of federal monitoring system being in place.
Sheriff Moss, final question for you first. It's been proposed by a couple of legislators, Assemblyman Jim Tedisco and State Senator Martin Golden. Bulletproof windows on vehicles. Any thoughts there, Sheriff?
On what type of vehicles? On police vehicles?
Yes.
I think it's going to be cost prohibitive. Look, we've been urging the state police for years to make sure they get cages in their patrol cars alone for when they have dangerous criminals. How we can afford to put bulletproof glass in there, I'd be all for it if somebody wants to pay for it. But I can tell you at the local level what the local taxpayers are going to say. It'd be a great idea, but I don't know if it's coming anytime soon.
State Senator Tom O'Mara.
I would have to agree that it's going to be something that we're going to have to look at the cost and what the effectiveness is. This is another thing that may be well-intentioned, but it's something that's coming from some legislators as a knee-jerk reaction to a specific incident. We've had concerns over the safety of officers for a long time. I really think that's going to take something that needs the direct input from law enforcement and not from a bunch of legislators with a knee-jerk reaction to something. The cost alone has been estimated in excess of $50,000 per vehicle. That's probably more than the vehicle with all the equipment and everything installed on it as it is. So if you go and doubling the cost of vehicles for this, I don't know how that can be afforded. And I'd like to look at look at the numbers. I've never heard of this type of thing happening before. Certainly, it would be a great safety precaution for the officers, but we really have to have real direct input from law enforcement on something. They think that they would rather have the money spent something in this way, or maybe something that helps them even further.
State Senator Tom O'Mara and Sheriff Christopher Moss, I want to thank you very much for joining us today.
No, thank you, and have a great holiday, and thank you, Senator, for all you do for Chemung County.
Well, thank you, Sheriff, and thank you for your great efforts and your time and expense you went through last year running to trying to be our next Lieutenant Governor. I applaud you in your efforts with Rob Astorino. You guys really gave a valiant effort. I wish you and your family a great Merry Christmas, as well as to you, Brian, and all your listeners here on WLEA.
And thanks to both of you, and the same Merry Christmas, and thank you very much for joining us both.
Take care.
And ABC is next on AM 1480 WLEA Hornell.